Good morning. If you are a subscriber of my channel, you'll know that I cover many things that interest me, whether it's sort of woodwork or engineering, metalwork, fishing, boats, salvaging, repairing things. I've done pretty much everything, so I cover most things, okay? But I've avoided politics. The reason I've done that is because we all have different views and opinions, and opinions are very much like arseholes. We've all got one. And I'm not going to turn this into a political video in that respect, but I make no bones about it that I'm a UKIP supporter, United Kingdom Independence Party. I've been a member for some time and a paid up member, and I'm given small contributions as and when I can. I actually believe that self-determinance and own sovereignty of my country is paramount and important, and I believe passionately, but I'm not going to go into a political speech about it. But anyway, so what am I up to? Well, I want to support the cause that I believe in as much as I can, and we'll probably have in the not too distant future elections coming up, either MEPs for EU if we're stuck in that damn place, or local elections. So I want to help where I can because that's my belief. Many years ago, when I was a lad, probably about the 60s I guess, I worked for a firm called Smith's Radio, and I was involved in public address work that they did, amongst other things, and we did the Colchester Rose Society and tattoos and various military events, public address, so I have some knowledge on that respect. We did everything, even local election, mobile arrangements. We even had a contract from a local ice cream men to do the little dickies on the vans that they went round with the ice cream, the ding dong, ding dong, ding. Well, in them days it was valves, 2 valves, 6J6s and 636, I remember that well, with a little inverter. And the actual mechanical noise was a little tiny kid's xylophone, and little hammers dropped on, and there was little pickup coils under, and we used to repair these things. They often wanted repairing because they were underneath the bands. Anyway, I digress. So I have some knowledge about, for what it's worth, about public address and putting a message across. So I have decided to assist where I can in the UKIP campaign to supply candidates, representatives and people wanting to get the message out, that I'm quite happy to provide them or loan them with some mobile public address equipment that they can possibly put on their car and put the message out. I can possibly assist in what's required in terms of legal position, so as not to get into trouble with copyright and such forth, and how best to put the message across, and line and wattage and various other things. We're not talking about public address as today's public address, such as music events or this sort of thing. The whole thing has changed now. What I'm thinking about is old school, old hat, simply getting the message across, and I think with my limited knowledge in that respect I might be able to help. So what have I been up to? Well, I've been looking at free cycle, trash nothing, such events and or sites should I say, picking up where I can the odd simple amp, broken, repair, whatever, and those that are mains driven I've looked up to find out whether the internal rails are about 12 volts so that they could be run on the car's battery system, thereby avoiding the mains transformer and so forth, and setting up a simple system that way. I've also been looking out for small tannoy horns and neat speakers. We're not after high fidelity here. We want to put the message across. So, in my exploits, looking at various things, I've gone on to eBay and such forth, and I've purchased very cheap old retro stuff as and where I can, just for a few pounds, and see if I can press them into service. And that's what this video is about. So I hope you enjoy it. Let's proceed. All flipping week, well 2 weeks now, I've had a rotten cold. Started off with a sore throat, ended up a runny nose, now I've got a chesty cough. I'm coughing and spluttering all over the shop, so you'll have to excuse me. As I said, it ain't the coughing that carried him off, it's the coughing they carried him off in. Anyway, we'll carry on. This little amplifier is a Fanta box, pay a few quid, spares or repair, cost more for the post. It's peanuts. So I thought, well, that's one to try, and it's old hat, 60s, 70s I suppose. It says solid state, but in this period, of course, that would just simply mean transistors. Anyway, I've had a quick look and I'll show you, because while I've got it here, I don't lose this screws. It is indeed transistors, not an IC inside. Couple of power transistors, look. I've got those anyway. Quite neat look, isn't it? Anyway, so what was wrong? Well, switches, noisy controls, cleaned all them up. But prior to that, still didn't work. And on the back here, it's got mains and 12 volt. It's only 12 volt we will use, but I'm running on mains just to try it with a ridiculously short lead, look. Anyway, I'm playing around and I suddenly realised, can you see it? Fuse holder is missing. So temporarily I've disconnected one end of the fuse holder and soldered it back on there. So I've jumped it just temporarily, and it proves that it works, but still very noisy controls, but we'll clean them up. It only has to do a job, right? I've temporarily connected it up to a hi-fi speaker here. And what I usually do from my old days of valve gear, I use a 0.1 microfarad capacitor and go along the inputs of the control knobs, etc., for buzzers. And it isolates me from having two hands on what used to be a live chassis, of course. Not nowadays. Anyway, that's old school stuff. You probably wonder what the hell I'm on about. The advantage of little things like this. Which way round it go? That way. The advantage of this little thing, try it that way. Silly Billy. Right. Come on, can only go on two ways. That's it, thank you very much. Is one of the no-nos with hi-fi is acoustic feedback, where the microphone picks up the output of the speakers and you get howls and whistles. That really shows the amateurs from the professionals. That's on back to front. I knew there was something wrong. That's it, the holes are lined up. So to avoid acoustic feedback in the process that I'm wanting here, one could always put a message on a dictaphone, or modern equivalent. I mean, the sound output from these is, you know, quite considerable, good quality. And one could make a loop, so that if it's just you driving, you needn't worry about spouting, you could just concentrate on your driving. Anyway, just a little tip there you may be interested in. Put these screws back. I've got two other amps coming. They're both Eagles. TPA 40 and a TPA 45. Very similar to this, a little bit later, better quality with a little UV meter on them. So that gives me a, so far it gives me 3. So that will do me for a little bit. Anyway, thought you'd like to see that.